Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to let you know that this month I've opened 10 spots for my Amazon Q&A sessions. These are a focused 60-minute call where you can bring your biggest Amazon challenges and leave with clear answers, or we can even use them for Amazon training. The calls cost £149 and you can get a spot through the link in the show notes. Welcome to the Bring Your Product Idea to Life podcast. This is the podcast for you if you're getting started selling products or if you'd like to create your own product to sell. I'm Vicki, a product creation coach and Amazon expert. Every week, I share friendly, practical advice as well as inspirational stories from small businesses. Let's get started. Hi, so today on the podcast, I'm speaking with Amy Langfield, the co-founder of Grow with Iris, fortified and free from plant-based growing up drink, nutritionally tailored for kids aged 12 months to 4 years. I had a really fascinating conversation with Amy. I've never heard of a product like hers, I'll be honest with you, and I had so many questions about how you actually formulate a product for children that's actually nutritious and gives them what they need, as well as tasting good so that they'll drink it. Obviously, there are so many regulations involved in selling products for babies and toddlers. And Amy was really generous in all that she shared with us. She also spoke about a number of grants that her business has been able to obtain, which has really helped with funding the design of the product, and listen on to find more about that and see if that can be applicable to you too. There is so much to learn in this conversation, and I would love now to introduce you to Amy. So hi Amy, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's an absolute honour to come and chat with you today, Vicki. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Can we please start by you giving an introduction to yourself, your business and what you sell?
Yes, so I'm Amy Langfield. I'm the co-founder of Grow with Iris. So here's Grow with Iris. We're a plant-based, officially free from fortified growing up drink. So a little bit like a formula, but for kids 12 months to 4 years. So yeah, that's what we are.
Amazing, thank you. So let's just jump straight in. Amy, tell us the story behind Grow with Iris. So how, why, when you got started.
Yeah, so I had Iris back in 2017, which feels like forever ago. And she was born with numerous life-threatening allergies, and she was allergic to everything. So dairy, soya, oats, bananas. And the reason that we knew this was, well, nuts, tree nuts, peanuts, sesame, everything. And the reason that we found this out was because she had really horrific atopic eczema. I was breastfeeding at the time, but from her blood results, we could tell, because obviously she wasn't weaned then, these were all of her allergies. So I had to cut all of that out of my diet. So I was returning back to work as an art teacher, full-time art teacher, when she was just 5 months old, and she'd just been kind of diagnosed. And I knew for a fact that I wasn't going to be able to be pumping at school, because kids are like in and out of your classroom. You don't get 5 minutes to yourself when you're teaching. And I was looking for an alternative formula for her. I went to my GP, managed to get the medicalized prescription formula, but turned it over and just was like, oh God, I really don't want to be giving her this. I've been breastfeeding, and then to be going to the first ingredient that was like corn syrup. And it just felt really wrong. So my partner and I, we just kind of searched the internet, looking all around the world just to see if there was any sort of alternative. And we couldn't really find anything. We imported a couple of very expensive products, but then they'd sell out. And I was like, why is this so hard? Like, why is this so difficult? And that's kind of when Grow with Iris was born. I thought, you know what? I'm going to do something about this. I can't be the only one. And that's really where the catalyst, that's where it started. And that's the beginning. I mean, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, well, thanks for explaining that. And as a little aside, does Iris still suffer from allergies now, or has she grown out of some of them? Or
yeah, funnily enough, I was just sending an email to school updating all of her allergies, because she's going on her first residential. She's 8 now.
Oh,
it just goes to show how long the R&D's been. And it's all tree nuts, peanuts, shellfish, particularly prawns. I mean, she's vegetarian, but cross-contamination, and cherries. And then she can't eat stone fruit unless it's cooked. And she gets a big rash on her face.
Oh gosh, that's really hard.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It's a lot to manage. And you kind of think that you're doing okay, and then something comes and kind of it takes you by surprise. Like on Saturday, she just had a random rash out of nowhere at a club, so you get the phone call and then she panics, and which is what we try not to do. Sorry, I've got something stuck in my throat.
Don't worry at all.
Oh God, hope you can cut that out, Vicki.
Of course. Are you okay?
Yeah, I look like I'm crying, but I'm not. I've just like got like a weird tickle. I was ill last week, so I think it's
Okay, I'm just going to make a note.
yeah. If you don't write a note, cut that bit out.
Yeah, you let me know when you're ready, and then you can just
yeah.
pick up again whenever you're good.
Yeah, I look like I'm crying about it, and I'm not. I'm just like coughing. Give me your leg. I'm trying not to cough. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm good.
Okay.
So where shall I?
I'm thinking, where did you get to? I tell you what, start completely again talking about Saturday. You're talking about Saturday, she got a rash. If you start from there, I think that's good timing.
So it's interesting. We kind of think that we're managing everything, but allergies have a really clever way of just kind of taking you by surprise and reminding you how significant they are. So she was at a club on Saturday and I get a phone call to say her wrist has suddenly got really itchy all up her arms, on her face, and we don't think it's anything she's eaten. But, then I rush over, and she had her antihistamine. She didn't need to have her pens, her EpiPens. And, but again, I think every time that happens, I think for her, it sinks in and it makes her realise, actually, this is real. And it's horrible because, I remember her saying to me, I hate having allergies. I wish I didn't have allergies. And we were talking about what perfect means, because she was saying that our dog was perfect. And I said, well, no one's really perfect. She said, well, Winston is, like her brother. And I'm like, well, he's not really. But she said, well, he doesn't have allergies, does he? And I'm like, well, that doesn't make you imperfect. It just means something that you kind of live with. And that's really difficult to hear her say that. And we've always kind of celebrated her allergies and said they are part of her. But I think it is a heavy load that she carries, but doesn't necessarily communicate.
Yeah. And she is still so young as well. So it's a lot, isn't it, for a young child?
Yeah, she's 8 and she always seems a lot older. But, that is a burden. It is a burden. And it is, it doesn't stop her from doing anything. We really encourage her to do everything she wants to do, and we put things in place to protect her as much as we can and control the controllables. But yeah, it's always there. It's like this kind of underlying thread. Yeah.
It's really hard, and I'm really sorry. And when she was coming back to when she was very little and you were going back to work, so what was the solution? Because I guess you mentioned that you were sourcing milk from abroad and then that would sell out, and then presumably you'd be looking for something else. Was there anything at all you found that worked, or was it just a case of waiting until she could have solid food?
Yeah, so I found a formula from France, which we imported. So I'd still breastfeed in the morning and the night, just so, almost because I wanted to, but also that kept the cost down. So she'd have like one feed of this formula at lunchtime with the childminder. We were so fortunate to find a childminder who actually did have a nut allergy herself, because she was at another one for a day, and this lady just did not understand and was in such a state over looking after her. And I just thought, we can't be doing this. Like, you need to be able to, allow Iris to be who she is without making a big deal out of it,
Yeah.
So yeah, we managed to import that, but then it would sell out. So she'd just have, if we didn't have any left, I'd either like pump at home and send that in. And, when you're working full time in a school and I taught, 4 to 11-year-olds, it's quite high energy. It's a lot. And then you're constantly worried about her every time the phone rings. And I still get that when the phone call, when it's the school, like my stomach just drops and I feel sick. And every time, like, nothing to worry about, because they know. Uh, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to carry. But we do try and, make sure that she lives with allergies, that she's not an allergy sufferer. That's one of my pet hates, saying that you suffer from having allergies. You don't. You kind of live with them. And it's like you live with wearing glasses, or you live with other things, and you just have to kind of manage it and try and be as positive as you can.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But it does sound like it was really, really tricky. And I can definitely see the catalyst for you wanting to create Grow with Iris. But what I would love to know now, though, Amy, is how did you get from sort of in the situation where you had a problem, there was something you needed that you couldn't source, to actually developing it yourself? Because that's a really big step to take.
It is a big step. And I think at the time, probably naively thought, oh, I can do this. So during school holidays, this was before my co-founder came on board, I found a food scientist who is local, a company called Frog Hop, and a lovely, lovely food scientist called Mel, who I went to see, and I invested some of my own savings into developing a paper-based recipe, telling her what I wanted as an allergy parent, the kind of vitamins and minerals that I knew that she would need. But that's just from a mum's point of view. Since then, we've done a lot more research working with medical experts. And so we had that as a paper-based recipe. Then I did lots of focus groups around the concept, with friends, family, and kind of local mums. And that's when Sophie came on board, and we'd had this little kind of focus group talking about it. And she'd done some concept work of what it might look like, what it might feel like, packaging. I've actually got them in my loft still. It's like, we sometimes look at it. It used to be called Little Iris, but we realised, we want to be more growth mindset and big, grow with Iris and thrive in a way with Iris. And yeah, that's when Sophie came on board as my co-founder, because I realised that I needed her, and she was really keen to get involved. And she's from a brand perspective. She was a designer, a creative director, and she brought Grow with Iris to life, really, in terms of what it to help with its values and how we looked and we felt. And from there, that's when we applied for our Innovate UK funding, which allowed us to do 2 pilot batches, all the risk and regulatory work, like calls and calls and calls and calls with so many people. If I'd written down how many calls we've had over the last 7-8 years, just to kind of put the pieces together, we always said it's like a big jigsaw piece, big empty jigsaw piece, jigsaw puzzle, and we're just filling every tiny little piece to it finally come together. And it's not complete now. We're still working on the formula in the background, but we've got our growing up drink, and we have all the the base and the kind of framework to build on. And we have the most incredible team of risk and regulatory experts, someone particularly called Rachel Ward, who we worked with very early on. And we've been on calls with her this week as well. She's still there. She's our fairy godmother. She literally knows everything about risk and regulatory work. So yeah, there was all the missing pieces like IP, formulation, making sure it's nutritionally tailored for children aged 12 to 4 months. There's just so much to think about. You think about even the nice things like marketing or PR, that's still an absolute minefield, and it makes you realise there's a reason why there's experts in every single field.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so much. Yeah.
That is a lot. And how long did it take, if you don't mind me asking, from, deciding that you wanted to create something to actually having a product on the market?
So we had our first IUK funding in 2020, end of 2020, and then we launched last year, so last August 2024. So really probably thought 4 years. Before that was all kind of concept work and trying to juggle having a second child and working only in school holidays, because you can't, when you're at school, you can't do anything. and you get home and you're exhausted. So it was school holidays, and then got to say, Innovate UK, without them, we wouldn't be where we are, because we've needed so much research, and the pilot batches cost a lot of money. We do a lot of testing, and it's enabled us to be able to afford the right people to help with our jigsaw puzzle, and get us to the place where we need to be. It's been really complicated. We joke, we say, oh, I wish we were just like selling a blanket or something. Something really simple.
It makes sense it would take this long, and actually it's good it's taken this long, because if you'd said to me, oh, we got it out in 6 months, I would think, oh, that seems a bit quick. Yeah, so I think it's good, and I think it's a credit though that you've for that long persisted on the formulation and the safety elements, and all like you say, all it is a lot, isn't it? It's a lot. So I think it's brilliant that you've persisted with it, because I think it sounds like it's probably been a struggle at times. I know it's something you believe really strongly in, but I wouldn't have thought it's been easy.
No, it's a good job that we do believe in it because it's been really challenging, and it's taken a long time. It's taken a lot of energy and resilience on both Sophie and my behalf. We only reflected on this recently. We've been having a bit of a tricky, couple of weeks, and we're like, you know what? We're actually really resilient, and we'd never really give ourselves that compliment. Women don't, do they? They're like always kind of on the back foot, never really kind of celebrate what you've done, and then you step back. And we're like, no, whatever we do, what we've created is so worth fighting for. And I think having our partnership as well, we balance each other out, but we've also been friends for a really long time, since we were 11. So we have this as like our kind of solid rock at the bottom. And when it gets really tough, we always come back to our friendship and our silliness and our connection, because without that, we would just be co-founders. But it's bigger than that. It's all made from love. And yeah, we're not the most qualified people to have done this in the first place, but that's the point. You get on board the experts to support you with your vision, and the vision is both Sophie and I as allergy parents, and wanting to help other allergy parents, other plant-based parents, other people who have fussy kids, or all of those. We're for all of those children. It comes from allergy, but at the end of the day, it's to provide more choice for more children and their families.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. That makes a lot of sense. And I think you're right that you don't have to be the expert. If we all had to be the expert in everything, we wouldn't do anything. Because let's face it, we're all experts in something, but it's not necessarily the thing that we need it at that time. And I think that's really good advice to people, just to know that you don't need to know it all, and you can just go ahead and find the right people to help you.
Yeah, I really do think it's believing in yourself, believing in your product. And I'd never, ever admitted to being an expert. The only thing, like I say, I'm an expert in is being an allergy mum. And that's an accidental expert. I'm also really determined, and so is Sophie. And we won't give up easily. And we've still got a long way to go with the formula, but at the moment, our growing up drink, we're so proud of it. And we're so proud that when we get little messages from parents saying, you're a lifesaver, you're a game changer, this is the only thing my child will have. And it means that I'm not worrying about their nutrition, because I know that kind of the basics are covered for them. We had a message from a lady who's pregnant this week, and she's been plant-based for like 30 years. And she was saying how she's just stumbled upon us, and she's just so relieved that in the UK there's people supporting people like her. And yes, it's lovely. It's really lovely. And again, that helps when days are tough, because it is tough. It's expensive, it's stressful, and we're not getting paid. So, that puts pressure on everything, because all the money we have goes back into the business. And that's a lot when you have kids, that's,
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And that's brilliant feedback you've received. That's amazing. I, how do you, just out of interest, how do you make sure that the milk is not only nutritious but also tastes nice as well? Sorry if that's a really basic question, but I think
No, it's
I
not
always
basic.
think that must be really, really hard. Because of course you can put all the right things in it and not in it as well, leave things out. But how do you make it taste good?
That's such a great question because, funnily enough, Dr. Diab Haddad, one of our pediatricians that we work with, he actually said that to us. He said, look, we could have the best formulation and it would be amazing and would do all the right things. But if a child's not going to drink it, what's the point? And we do use date sugar in our product. And there's a lot of kind of negative connotations around sugar within children's food. We chose date specifically because of its low GI. It actually brings a really lovely taste, and it means that we can balance it, and it gives that balance that a child is going to actually take the drink. And we went, oh goodness, like we've gone through so many rounds of testing, because also having the viscosity right, because when you have like a cow's milk, like everything kind of, all the molecules work together because it's just cow's milk. That's naturally engineered. But we've had to put something together. So split pea protein isn't soluble. Like it doesn't. So it needs to be able to work with all the other ingredients. So you don't just get like a big lumpy mess, which isn't appealing to anyone. So we worked really hard to try and make it as kind of milky as possible. And that went back and forth a lot. And, sometimes people will say, oh, it's, when they're used to drinking a product with lots of emulsifiers in it or, things like that, which we don't have, they're used to it being slightly smoother. And it is smooth. It is smooth. It is creamy. But if you're used to having cow's milk or an oat milk with loads of emulsifiers in it, then it's going to taste like slightly more textured. But kids love it. So, and I love it. My dad drinks it. My dad's 80 and he drinks it.
Oh, that's really sweet.
I know.
And I know what you mean, by the way, because I drink oat milk and almond milk, and they are like, and I try and get the good ones that got the like fewest amount of ingredients, and they are milky, but they're also not. They're not
They're
the
still a
same
bit
as cow's
bored
milk.
or watery. Like they're not the same. It's not the
Yeah,
same. It's the tea test, isn't it? What works in your tea? And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, you can get away with a latte if you can froth it, then you're okay. But it's really hard. Yeah, it is hard to get that balance. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, but it seems like you're doing a really good job of it.
Oh, thank you. We're trying. We try every day. We try our best, and that's all you can do, right?
Can I ask a little bit about Innovate UK as well? Because I don't know much about them, and it'd be really interesting to know who they are, what you do, and how they've helped you,
Yeah,
if
sure.
that's
So
okay.
yeah, absolutely. So Innovate UK is a fund. It's a government funded. Um, how would you describe them? Innovate UK are a government funded agency initiative, and they have lots of different awards and competitions, and it's purely for research and development. So we have had 3 grant funds. The first one was sustainability and innovation. So we were grant funded to do that sustainability research, and it's really tricky because you have a lot of boxes to tick, lots of paperwork. They don't just give the money away. They want to see results, but they're investing in British companies to ensure that, we are at the forefront of innovation and thinking about the future. Our second grant fund was Women in Innovation. So it's supporting women who are making innovative products. And that was incredible because, again, it was the network. And for anyone out there who has like an innovative idea, it's definitely worth thinking about. And that can be innovation in like food, health, femtech, there's lots of different competitions. It doesn't just have to be, like tech. Everybody always thinks that the money goes to the digital tech type stuff, but it's not. And they don't, yeah, like I said, it's not just about the money, it's about the network. You get mentors, you get like a growth expert, and this kind of pool of people that you can tap into just to support you. And then the last one we did was the biomedical catalyst, which was more of a medical focused grant. And that was for the formula. So we managed to work with the University of Leeds on a paper that we're publishing hopefully next year. It's all written, just has to go through the kind of hoops it needs to go to before it can be out in the open. But we were doing work on different proteins for infant formula. We sometimes get people questioning the pea protein because some people do actually have allergies, are allergic to peas. And there can be kind of a close link to some people that have a peanut allergy or soya. But yeah, we were kind of looking into a way of creating an innovative new formulation. But it supports that rather than us funding that as a tiny little startup. And Innovate UK gives you that platform to be able to explore it and do the things that you need to do that the big companies would just be able to fund. Like, we can't do that. We're not Danone, or we're not,
Procter and Gamble or something.
No,
Yeah,
exactly. We're not. And yeah, and they do funding from like £100,000 up to millions and millions. If you're, it just depends on what you're doing and what competition that you go for. They're on hold at the moment because of the change in government. So we're just waiting to see if there are any more awards. They used to come out kind of January time or kind of springtime, but obviously we're in autumn now. So we're kind of hoping for us to be able to do the next steps in our innovation, that we can get another grant fund, because yeah, I highly recommend it.
well, thank you so much for sharing that, and I will try and find a link for Innovate UK to put in the show notes as well, because I think it would be really useful, because I do often speak to people who have ideas but just don't know how they'd get them going or how they'd pay for it, because as you say, it's not cheap to develop a product.
And especially, we've invested our own money into Grow with Iris, but there's no way we would have been able to do that. We've had like a finite amount of money that we could put in. And again, that was a really long time ago as well, because it's taken so long. So yeah, it's like I said, it's not just about the money with iUK, it's the kind of 360 and the community and the contacts, and they really want you to succeed. So they do everything they can to support you. So yeah, no, I would definitely check it out.
That's brilliant, thank you. And you mentioned that one of the grants was around sustainability, and I know that's a big part of your brand. Did you want to share with us some of the things you're doing in that area?
Yeah, so when we had that grant, we did a lot of exploration into the packaging and looking at different ways to create a packaging that would be more sustainable than the usual kind of tins that you get formula in. And it's really tricky because it's a food product and it's for babies. There's a lot of limitations. But through that, we learned so much. We also managed to do something called lifecycle analysis, which shows, that what you're doing, how it measures up against like competitors. So this is like 86% more sustainable than other like ready-made plant-based competitors, which is crazy. And that's mostly because we did the testing on the powder, so it's just add water, so you're not carrying the water weight while you're transporting it around the country. There's all these different like little tweaks. Like we explored having a recyclable scoop and putting that in, but then decided actually everybody has a tablespoon. It came back to something really simple. Everybody has a tablespoon in the house. Why not just, we did all the testing, working out what would be the best option. And actually, a tablespoon, a humble tablespoon. You don't need to put that in. It's not going to travel anywhere. It's not creating excess waste. So there's all these different things that you can do to kind of measure and then make informed decisions over how you want to be and what you want for your brand. I would definitely recommend doing an LCA, so you can benchmark as well, and then if there's anything you need to change, then you've got targets and you've got KPIs for the future to be able to, if you're reformulating or you're thinking about your packaging, then it can inform your decision making.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. And so it sounds like a lot of development went into the packaging side as well as the product.
Yeah, everything. It's like we sometimes say that we've been on this kind of deep dive university degree. We've done about 6 different degrees in like nutrition, packaging, marketing, finance, all these things that I just wouldn't have had a clue about, and we've kind of learnt about over the last few years. I think that's what makes it exciting as well, is that you are learning all the time, every single day. Yeah, about something changes, or
Yeah, but there is a lot, like we've said, there is a lot to learn and a lot to get to grips with. So I guess having that personal drive, like, because the product clearly means so much to you and to Sophie, has really got to help just keep you on track and keep you working towards it. Because I think if you don't have that personal connection, if this had been like a random idea you'd had in the middle of the night, I think it would have been a lot harder to keep pushing forward with it.
Absolutely, because you wake up and you see your kids. Sophie didn't have kids when she first started, and then had Lenny just over a year ago, and ironically he has a dairy allergy, but you couldn't make it up. And it's like, we've both allergy mums now. It used to be an allergy mum on a mission, but now it's 2 allergy mums on a mission.
And what advice do you have for anyone else? So if any other founders are wanting to create products and it's around like a personal experience or personal challenge that maybe they're having, do you have any advice specific to that?
Yeah, I think a really good place to go, which both Sophie and I found quite interesting and really helpful and inspiring, and where you can get to meet lots of different founders and lots of different talks, is the Bread and Jam Festival, which you may have heard about. So especially if you're food and drink, they just do talks on everything, whether you're early stage, mid stage, or way down the line. I have learned so much going to that festival. I think I went 3 years in a row, and just definitely. Another thing, I guess, if you're starting out, is just reach out to people, talk to founders. If there's someone who's doing something similar, more than likely people will talk to you. They'll make the time, because we've all been there. Some people might be more closed, but they might end up being your mentor. I think, don't hold back. Always ask for help. Like, don't try and do it all yourself. Like, Google can only tell you so much. Having real conversations with real people, and finding out what the next step is, that definitely, that's my biggest tip. Don't be shy.
Thank you. No, thank you. That's great advice. I think you're right. There's a lot to be said for getting in a room with like people doing something similar to you and people you can learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. Or even just like a quick Zoom, or just, they might live in Scotland, but reach out to them on LinkedIn, or why do you want to speak to them? And mostly people be like, oh, well, yeah, of course I can share my knowledge.
Yeah, I think you're right that most people are really happy to help and actually like being asked. Yeah, I mean, I can say for myself that if someone contacts me and they want help with something, I'm delighted to help. If you can, it's a nice thing to be able to do, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so I try and remember that when I'm on the other side.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because I think because Sophie and I have asked for help so much along the way. Someone contacted me a couple of weeks ago, and had a quick call this week with her, and then passed her on to some of our contacts, and that just saves that person so much time of trying to find that right person. When you do get your product, another really great platform is the By Women Built platform. I definitely recommend any female founders with a consumer product, to join, because it's the most incredible network of people. You've got people like Joanna Jensen on there, to Lemon from Lemonade Dolls, but also people like us and people starting out. people with teeny tiny brands, like micro brands. But everybody is in this big pool and kind of helps each other and supports each other. And it's like we can like cheerlead one another, and it's brilliant.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Now, I've got a final question, which is one that I ask absolutely everyone who comes on, Amy, and it might be tricky given you've just shared lots of advice with us. What would your number one piece of advice be for someone wanting to start a product business today? What's the one thing you would say to do?
I would say slow and steady, one step at a time. Just work out the first step that you need to do, break it down. It might feel massive, like an infant formula. And then just kind of almost work backwards. And then what's the first thing I need to do? And just really making sure that you definitely want to do it, because there's many times when you think, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, but I can't do it anymore. But I think if you feel really strongly about it and you're following the little steps, it kind of feels more manageable. Yeah, definitely.
That's really helpful. Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you for everything we've shared. I'm obviously going to link to your website and all your socials, everything in the show notes for this episode. And thank you again so much.
Thank you, Vicki. Lovely to chat to you.
Thank you so much for listening right to the end of this episode. Do remember that you can get the full back catalogue and lots of free resources on my website, vickyweinberg.com. Please do remember to rate and review this episode if you've enjoyed it, and also share it with a friend who you think might find it useful. Thank you again, and see you next week. Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end. Remember, if you'd like some more support, I have 10 Amazon Q&A sessions available this month. These are 1-hour calls where we help you tackle your biggest challenges, get you moving forward, and we can even use it for some Amazon training. They cost £149 and you can book via the link in the show notes.